Alright, the startup project went really well, but I now added a little guy that is going to be roaming around our base and interacting with the world. I got this asset from the Unity asset store, so you can use it. It comes with all animations. Run it and let's see how it works. Okay, moving around, you can see the animation working and the blend tree in the bottom controlling all the states. I added the movement with the Unity input system. Oh no, it can't roll through walls. Yeah, we gotta fix that for sure. Alright, so the way to fix that is to add a collision tile map or collision layer. It's just another tile map that is going to have a mesh collider in it and is going to be invisible. An invisible barrier to prevent the player to going through the buildings. You can just draw it on top of the buildings and hide it in the renderer and it's gonna work pretty well. To start with the building system, I decided to enlarge a little bit the construction area. It's not necessary, but it's just for play experience. I feel that the players are going to expect the area that they're going to building it to be roughly of the same size as the building they are going to be constructing. So I decided to enlarge it, and afterwards I'm going to start to draw a building in there. So it's just going to be another tile map, exactly as we draw the first buildings, and it's going to work pretty well. Okay, so for the building, we're using the same city tile map that we used for the other buildings before. We're just gonna draw on top of the construction yard a new building, completely new, and we're gonna use orange because hey, why not? We gotta grab the player's attention, right? And it's also really eye-catching. I think it's gonna give a little bit of contrast. I don't want all the buildings to be blue. I know this is supposed to be a base, but of course these are not the final assets that we're gonna use for the project. So this is just for testing systems. Let's start by drawing a little bit how the building is going to look like. Yeah, it's going to look pretty well. Okay, so this is a more advanced version of the building. You can see that I added some windows and some details just to make it a little bit more standing out, right, from the background, right? And the windows and the details are just to give it a little bit of personality, so it's not so boring to watch it, right? This is meant to be barracks. Of course, it doesn't look like barracks, or maybe not any barracks that I've seen so far, but yeah, I mean, as I said, not the final art. Okay, for now, let's step away from the building for a minute, a little bit, and we need to start thinking about the construction system. The construction system really needs to be thought out in several steps. And the first thing that I wanted to consider was like, okay, all building systems are tracking some kind of resource, like to allow the construction, right? Money or any kind of supplies. So the first thing that I did was to create a UI that I'm putting together here to showcase resources that are going to be tracked, right, and inform the player how much of those resources actually has available for construction. So I'm just adding here a panel, an upper panel in the UI that is going to carry all the different resources that we are going to consider within the game. So this game is relatively simple. I just considered 3 distinct resources. That's credits, or money if you want, influence, and supplies. And credits are going to be the resource that is going to allow essentially the player to purchase or build structures. Here, well, I'm just adding some images that are going to carry some icons for the player to identify quickly which resource is running low or which resource he needs the most. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we got 3 images there, and I'm using a horizontal layout group to try to make them a little bit uniformly spaced within the UI. And after that, I'm going to assign some images. I got again these assets from the Unity asset store, and yep, I'm just having these icons. The diamond is going to be for the supplies, the medal is for the influence, and the coin is going to be for the credits. Now we have to adjust the size a little bit so it looks kind of good. And of course, on the right you can see how the UI is turning out for the game, right? So in the left I'm using the Unity editor screen, and then on the right you can see how the UI is showing up, or is going to show up for the player in the screen. Okay, so after that I added some text so the player can know how much quantity he has for each one of these resources. And also I'm going to add a little pop-up message for the player to see when he interacts with the object that is going to trigger the construction of the building. So that's really not showing up here because I'm designing it, but it's going to just appear when the player interacts with the specific object, whereas the resource trackers, so to speak, are going to be there for the entirety of the duration of the game, or at least as long as the player roams around the base. So here I'm just building the construction system. I'm preparing to set it up within the game. Just a little bit of code. If you want details, you can just write a comment on that. Okay, so run and try. We got some errors there, so let's try again. Fix and try. Okay, fine. So the way this works is that the player walks up to the sign there and interacts, and a message appears: construct back 200 credits. And if the player has the resources, then he can click build, and then the building appears, and voila, that's it. Very rudimentary building system. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that, and yeah, if you have questions, just drop me a comment and I'll reach out to you with more details about how this thing is working. Yeah, if you like what you're seeing, please give a like, subscribe, and support the channel. Thank you. See you next time.